Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of the Star Coach Show, an episode that is going to help propel you forward, get obstacles out of your way, and create a formula for you to make the living you deserve by having the impact you desire. I'm Meg Rentschler. I'm the host of the Star Coach Show, and am absolutely committed to helping coaches thrive by getting your work into the world. I'm over the moon excited for this interview today because I'm interviewing one of my mentors, someone whose work has propelled my business forward and really allowed me to live the life I desire by having the impact I truly want to have in the world. I want to introduce you to Jeff Walker, the creator of Product Launch Formula. Now, the thing about Jeff and Product Launch Formula is that but once a year, he offers a free masterclass, which is loaded with information to help you think differently about the way that you offer your programs, your services, your coaching to the world, and makes a clear path on how are you offering that transformation in a way that it attracts people to you. But Jeff only does this free masterclass once a year, which is why I'm delighted that he took the time to do this interview with me so that we could talk about what is Product Launch Formula and what is compelling enough for you to commit some time this week to the masterclass so that you can really, like I said, create the kind of lifestyle you want doing the things that you desire. Now, I want you to listen to this interview with Jeff and opt in to that free masterclass using the link below this video or at starcoachshow.com/405. starcoachshow.com/405. I'm asking you to use that link so that Jeff knows that I sent you. He did this interview with me. I'm so appreciative of that. I'm an affiliate for his program because I believe in his program. You know that the Star Coach Show brings strategies, tools, and resources to you each and every week. And rarely do I endorse a program the way that I do the Product Launch Formula. So I ask you to use the link so that Jeff knows that I've sent you, and also that if you determine that this is something that makes sense to you and you want even more of it, I want you to be able to access not only Jeff's bonuses, but the bonuses that I have available for you as well. So there is a link below this video for you to access the free masterclass or at starcoachshow.com/405. Now, let's go to my interview with Jeff Walker. Jeff Walker, welcome to the Star Coach Show.
Thank you, Meg. I'm happy to be here.
I'm really excited to spend time with you. Full disclosure to the listeners, I have followed Jeff's work for years. I might say decades, but he and I are so young that couldn't possibly be. Let me tell you a little bit about who Jeff is and why I thought it was so important to have him share his knowledge with all of you. Jeff is the creator of Product Launch Formula. Now, for any of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I really believe in the Product Launch Formula because it has transformed my business. And every year you hear from me saying, just his Product Launch Formula Masterclass. So this should not be new information to you, but how delightful to have Jeff here with us. This concept of Product Launch Formula, you really kind of opened up on the world in 2005, right? So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
okay, Jeff, that's like 2 decades. Two
It's
decades.
crazy.
You
It's
must have
crazy.
started when you were 2. I don't know, but with that, what we're going to talk about today is how does this concept of Product Launch Formula And this free masterclass that you open but once a year. So if anybody's multitasking and not paying attention, come back to us once a year. This masterclass opens, and we're going to talk about how can coaches use this concept to get your work into the world. You know that the Star Coach Show is all about bringing you strategies, tools, and resources to help you thrive. This product launch formula is what we need to talk about. So, Jeff, thank you for joining me once again. And where do we even want to start when we think about this coaching community and product launch formula? Where do the great two come together?
Well, boy, so first of all, I'm a huge fan of coaching. Meg, I feel like I was a slow starter. I didn't really get going until I was in my mid 30s, and I was a stay-at-home dad before that. And I wasn't a stay-at-home dad because I sold my business for 30 million or something. I was a stay-at-home dad because I didn't fit in the corporate world, and I quit like probably a week before they would have fired me. And so I was at home taking care of two young children. My wife was supporting the family, and then for years, this wasn't like a few weeks, for years, and always felt like there was something more for me out there. Couldn't figure out what it was. And then when I started to step into this world of learning, of I guess adult learning, of taking courses and memberships and getting coaching, it just opened up a world I never could have imagined. And, this is my plug. I know I'm talking to coaches and I don't need to plug your profession, but it just blows me away that no matter whatever we want to accomplish in the world, whether we want to have a better golf handicap or have a meditation practice or quit smoking or learn another language or build our business or whatever, there's someone that's further along that path and they're eminently hireable. Most of them are. And you could hire them in terms of their books, of their courses, of their workshops, or be able to get on a call with them. And it's just, I mean, I guess that's how humanity advances is the leverage learning we get from coaches. So I'm a huge fan of coaches. And I guess where the overlap is to me is like product launch formula. It was 2005 when I came out with the first version. And if I was doing it all over again, I probably wouldn't name it the product launch formula. It's more like the launch formula because it's basically a way it's a way to market your wisdom and get paid really, really well for it, but market it in a way that delivers huge value to people before you even ask for the sale, that positions you as an expert so people want to come to you and they want to buy from you. So it's this, and you can be, and I think cornerstones of it, of product launch formula, or PLF, we'll say, is authenticity and congruence and being able to sell super effectively in a non-slimy way that your mother would be proud of.
Which is exactly what coaches struggle with. I believe that coaches love to get out there, coach, connect with their clients, and then but that sales piece, that like, ooh, how do I launch? What do I launch? Can really create a barrier. I know that, as I went into coaching from being a psychotherapist for decades, I thought, well, I get the insurance companies send me clients. That's how I built my therapy practice. Well, that's not exactly the way it works with coaching. You get out there, you create a business and a product to sell. So I found your launch book early on and thought, okay, this kind of helps give me a roadmap. It gives me a little bit of a roadmap of how do I get more comfortable in the skin of I'm offering you a product. I'm offering you come work with me, people. Please come work with me and let me be your coach. But you gave me a language, and your authenticity really comes through your product, what you're selling and what you're helping us understand. What was it that led you to this Well, let's do a free masterclass once a year, just once a year. I mean, you open your doors like, okay, the doors are open. Everybody, come learn. What made you decide to do this just like once a year?
Well, so we developed a formula, and I say we, meaning me, and I started doing this, and it was actually 1996, and that's when I did my very, very first launch. That was I was out of sheer desperation, just trying to make a few dollars to help support the family. I was at that point, I was publishing about the stock market. I published a newsletter about the stock market, and I had built up this free subscription, or a number of subscribers. Let's put it that way. It was a free newsletter. It was a free email newsletter in 1996. And at some point, I'm like, boy, it'd be nice to make some money. Maybe these people would buy something from me. And then, there was no one teaching online marketing. There was really no online business. In fact, I was just thinking this. I would be surprised if there was even 100 businesses that were actually making sales online, period.
Well, I was actually like 1996, there was an email, like,
No, there was
yeah.
email. There was email,
I
but
know
then
there
about
was email, but like that you were sending something out and that people were connected enough.
it was nuts. It was nuts. But so, anyways, I'm like, okay, maybe they'll buy something from me, but I've never sold anything in my life. I have no sales experience. I really have no marketing experience. And I'm fundamentally uncomfortable with the idea of selling. It just creeped me out. I think we all, well, at least I certainly had some hangups about money. I think most people do, and certainly asking for money. And
Right.
I'd never been paid for anything other than in a job. I'd never sold anything in my life. And so this idea of that someone would pay me for something I created was pretty foreign, but I was desperate. And, I'd been a stay-at-home dad for like 6 years at that point. And and so I was like, how can I do this and not feel slimy? And I just thought, if I just sort of romance people and I deliver more and more value over a period of time and lead up into that sale, I can feel a lot better about it. And that's what I did. That was that first launch. I had it did $1,650. I think I had 5 people buy from me. When that first order came in, it was just so mind blowing. And
I
Meg, to
just
tell you,
just
Meg,
like boom, I bet it
yeah.
was.
Well, first, just a little silly anecdote. I, I couldn't take online payments. Taking online payments then was like rocket science. So I said, send me a check, mail me a check. And they did. But it was mind blowing that like someone would pay me for some value I
Right.
created. Now I know you've got coaches listening, and they've got clients, and they're used to getting paid, but I was not. And I had this thought, and this is probably one of the best thoughts I've ever had in my life. Was I did this once, I can do it again, and I can do it again, and I can do it again, and I might even get better at it. And that's what happened. I I was just like, well, if I could make $1,650 and do that 4 or 5 times a year, I'm hitting my goals. And because I had pretty modest goals then. And so sure enough, the launches did get better. The next one was 6,000, then 8,000, and then around that 8,000 mark for a while. And then eventually there was the 34,000 one. That was the one where my wife and I started talking about her leaving her job because this is starting to feel like a real business. And so that happened for years. I was selling newsletters about the stock market for about 8 years. And the thing about this product launch formula is it's very adaptable. There's many different ways you can use it. So the question you just asked is why just once a year? I'm getting there.
I get
Um,
it.
yeah,
And actually, before you go there, I want to click on something that you said because, yes, there are many coaches listening who have sold, who are profitable business owners. There are also many coaches listening or people who aspire to be a coach who are still in that transition period. Maybe they never have. They might still have their day job or they might be in that place that we've both been in where we haven't sold anything yet and we're like, why would people buy something from me, or how do I even get the offer in front of them? So that's why I'm thrilled that you're sharing this story, because I know it's resonating with people who are like, I'm in that place, I haven't yet gotten anybody to give me money yet.
Yeah. It's, that first sale just makes such an incredible difference. It's just mind bending. It's like I can, I didn't have this confidence when I started that I could create value and get paid for that value. It had never happened other than going to a job.
Mhm.
And once you hit that, it's just okay. Now I just need to do this more, and it's just this happens all the time. People are walking around buying stuff all the time because they perceive that they're going to get value, whether you're at the grocery store or
Right.
wherever. And so commerce is happening all the time. Sales are happening all the time. And if you can create value, and I think coaches can create amazing value, then you can get paid for that. And then eventually, something we should probably talk about is getting leverage too, because that's a huge fan of leverage. I don't, there's this term passive income, and I don't really believe in it, but I believe in leveraged income. And we can talk about that in a little bit. But
Oh,
so
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
so 8 years of doing this about with the stock market, eventually I had a sort of a gut check moment sitting right at the desk where I'm sitting right now. I had a partner in that business who was like a content partner. And
Mhm.
in 2005, he called me up one day while I was sitting here. It was a Friday afternoon, and he said, "Hey, I'm decided to go my own way and create my own thing." And he's actually created his own website and took all our paying customers. And he basically stole the business from me after
Yeah.
8 years.
Just, oh, by the way, I thought I'd call and let you know that
I'm
you're
like,
out and
okay, well,
I'm
let's
in.
talk about
Yeah.
this. He's like, no, I'm doing it starting Monday. Today's Friday afternoon, Monday. I'm like, what? Yeah. And so at that point, I had the opportunity to step back and look at where I was, and when I say opportunity, I'm being a little facetious.
Right.
I knew I was going to be fine. I knew I had the skills. I built in those 8 years. I built up a lot of chops. I was gotten really good at
Mhm.
marketing, but it was still just an incredible, uh, horrible experience. I mean, my
Well,
gut was just churning. Like,
I was gonna say, what a gut punch. Even though now you probably look back and say, if that hadn't happened, where would I be where I am today? But boy,
no,
at the time, I
no.
bet it didn't feel that way.
I mean, and I don't want to go too deep because I want to get
Right.
so much for our people,
Right.
for your people. But I hung up that phone and I laughed because I'm like, no, yeah, I'm the one creating value. You're about to find that out. I'm thinking this for my partner, but also I'm going to be able to rebuild. I'm going to be able to do whatever I want. So, but that was also me putting a bright, happy face because I'd never talked to a lawyer in my life up to that point. And all of a sudden, like I'm in federal court with this guy. He's suing me, which figure that one out. And,
Wow.
and I all of a sudden I'm talking to three lawyers that I'm paying like, probably cumulative a couple $1,000s an hour after my income has just disappeared. It was nasty, but um, the thing is once you know how to present an offer and get
Mhm.
paid for that offer, you have the keys to the kingdom. So even though this was incredibly one of the worst things I ever went through, emotions churning away, I knew I was going to be fine. I knew I had the skills because I spent those years building up those skills. And what I ended up doing then is coming out with the product launch formula. And in fact, the story goes full circle because you mentioned earlier, and I guess I mentioned PLF started in 2005. Well, that phone call was in March of 2005. And if he hadn't left me, I'm a
Mhm.
super loyal person. I never would have left him, and I'd still be
Mhm.
publishing a stock market newsletter
And all
instead.
of us would be like, we need product less formula and we don't know that we don't have it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
oh,
So,
that is
yeah,
amazing. You did give
it's
me
not.
goosebumps when you said, I literally got goosebumps when you said, if you know how to do it, you can do it again and again. So I want everybody here listening. I get that it feels like a huge mountain. I get that it feels sometimes like, oh, it makes me sick to think about this. But when you know how to do it and then you do it again and because you got to practice to get better. There's nothing that is a magic wand. So now we're going back around to, so why just once a year?
Well, so um, eventually, then I came up with product launch formula. We had this training program. It's morphed over the years. Initially, it was CDs and DVDs and books, and then it became an online course, and then it became an online community. And 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 so I eventually shifted to launching twice a year, and then we went to once a year because we bring people in like in a cohort, like a college class, and then we work with them from there, and we give them like basically a year of support, a year of coaching calls. And we do this master class, this launch master class, where it's my team. So I said in the early days, when I said we in the early days, it was just me. Now there's
No, it's
I've got a
we.
team. Yeah, now it's
You've
we.
got
I've
a
got
great team. I know a
I
lot of
do.
your team, and
I,
you've got a great team.
I do. I do. We have, I mean, it's like 35 people now. And we just did Meg, we just did a team retreat. Um, and we did it in Nashville because wherever we do it, wherever people fly in, because we're virtual, we had people come in from 8 different countries on our team.
Wow.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Oh, I bet
So
it was great to have everybody
oh,
together.
it was
Oh,
so great. We were right downtown Nashville, like right a block from the Country Music Hall of Fame, and it was just so much fun. And we just had all kinds of adventures, and we sent them on a scavenger hunt. It was great. So, but yeah, we bring people, 35 people. I got, I think, 10 coaches, and so we bring people in so we can support them for the full year. And we got all kinds of other stuff we're doing all year long, but this launch masterclass, we put so much focus on just delivering huge value. And here's a spoiler alert: the launch masterclass is my launch for product launch formula. So what I do is I say I feel bad saying I because it's my whole team now, but we have about 10, 12 days where we're just going to teach our heart out. And and my goal is to give, if in my opinion, product launch formula is the best training in the world. That's my paid program. My free program, the Launch Masterclass, I think is the second best launch program, online marketing program in the world. And we pour into our people, and we'll have tens of thousands of people go through the Launch Masterclass with us. Some of them will move forward and get product launch formula, but no matter what, I want to deliver maximum value for people, even though it's free, because I know by delivering that value, they're going to end up, a lot of them will end up deciding to join me in the product launch formula.
and the other thing I love about you and the things you do is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I've always felt is that you want people to get the most value, whether they purchase with you or not. If you can impact the world, you've got this ripple of product launch all around the world. Some of those people have never bought maybe beyond a book from you,
Right.
but you know that they are creating an influence with product launch formula. I'm sure there's times that you see people doing things and you're like, that's product launch formula, even if they're
Oh,
not saying that that's product launch formula.
so Meg, my wife, who's amazing. I've been married for we've been together now for 40 years. It's
Oh, that's
ridiculous.
awesome.
Um, and it took us a few years to get married, so we haven't been married that long. But um, her sister, right before the pandemic, her sister got married. It was the first time her sister got married. And she asked my wife Mary to officiate the wedding.
Oh, how
So, and Mary
neat.
said, yes, she'd be delighted to. And she's not, ordained. She's not a minister. She's not anything. She's never done it before. But Mary being Mary, she's like, okay, I'm going to learn how to do this. And so she went and bought a course on officiating weddings. And the person totally 100% used product launch formula to sell the course to her. And she knew it. She's like, I think this guy's using PLF on me, you know? And I mean, I just bought a guitar course for a guy clearly using product launch formula.
Product launch formula.
So yeah, it's all over. So I love making money. I mean, money is an amazing thing. It gives us it's just this, it's like this frozen power that, or this, that we can just store up and use capability and power. And so money's fantastic. And it's ridiculous how much of it has come into my life. But at this point, and it's really been this way for a while now, I am mostly driven by making a positive impact. Because like we talked about, that $1,650, that was mind blowing for me. My goal was $10,000 in a year. And then like my ultimate dream goal was to make $100,000 in a year. And I've now had more $1 million launches, in fact, $1 million days. I don't even track my $1 million days. I've had $1 million hour. And those are all sales numbers.
Right,
They're
right.
not profit, but still, if you sell $1 million in an hour, you're going to have a little bit of profit left
Yeah,
over.
maybe you'll have a little bit left over.
Yeah.
So look, can
So
we help people understand like what, because you're about to open, we're going to do a launch masterclass. We meaning you. We're gonna do a launch masterclass. So when people decide, I want to get a little, I want to understand what product launch formula is. I want, what will they learn in a masterclass?
yeah, so and it's evolved. It continue every single year it evolves, and we just reshot the entire course, and we're creating it all. In fact, just as we're filming this, just yesterday, I shot the first 2 lessons for the launch masterclass. So it's a mix of on-demand video training, and then also live broadcasts, live Q&A, live training broadcasts. We have case studies. There's PDF downloads, all of that. And so really when I bring people into the Launch Masterclass, they could be coming in from any walk of life. We'll probably have people from at least 60 or 70 countries attending, sometimes even more. And some of them will be coaches, some of them will be online entrepreneurs, some of them will just
Mhm.
be like I was, and when I started out and didn't have a clue, and just was desperate to change my life in some way. And so really, to go behind the scenes, what I'll do is we have two, like the first lesson, which will be a whole series of videos, and they're real short and snappy, and you can binge watch them. But first is to, just take a minute or two to tell people what a launch is and why it matters, and then walk through the core in that very first lesson, the core behind the product launch formula, which is what we call the sideways sales letter. And also what we call the PS path, the problem solution path. And those two things, that's the way you deliver value ahead of your sale. Because these days, I think that's the way, I think that's the only way to sell now. There's so much noise out there that if all of a sudden you show up and deliver value, then 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 people will notice you. But it can't just be some random value. It has to be value that leads them towards the transformation that they're looking for in their life. People are
And
walking
that's what
around.
I love. I think you're right. And I hate to interrupt, but that
Yeah.
that concept of the problem solution path for you coaches who are listening, who are like, but I don't get how do I get my work into the world? How do I it's that concept that Jeff's going to be teaching in his launch masterclass that can help you wrap your mind around what's the problem, what's the solution, what problem then comes up, what's this, I mean, he'll talk about it, but that is just it's a way for you to begin to think about, because coaching can feel sort of squishy. Like, well, what is this? I think lots of times, and what are your thoughts about like service professionals have a hard time sometimes saying, like, because it's like, "Oh, I don't want to sell myself. It's the
Right.
transformation that you're selling. And I think that if you log into this masterclass, you're going to get a idea, a concept to put your mind around. What are your thoughts?
People will pay you if you can solve their problems, or if they perceive that you can solve their problems. So as a coach, if you're listening to this, you have a body of work, right? That body of work is the transformation you make in your future client's life. Whether you're teaching them how to have a better relationship or how to have better health or whatever it is, there's that body of work. But like if you could just like take that body of work and put it in one video or one course or one, and then just said, okay, you know what? I just want to serve the world. I don't even want to make money. Here it is, client. Here's my entire body of work. None of them would actually go through your body of work because your body, you have a large body of work, and it's an investment for them, not in dollars, but in time and effort to get into that body of work. So if you just presented that entire, if you could somehow, like, what was that? The Matrix, that where you plugged in and all of a sudden you know how to fly a helicopter. Well, you could probably, they would buy that, but they wouldn't buy the helicopter manuals that take up an entire shelf.
Right.
So you have to lead them into your work. And it's like, what, where do they have to be able to make that decision? And then, and that decision takes them from 0 to 1, right? And going from 0 to 1 is a big deal. If your body of work will take them from 1 to 100, you have to still get them from 0 to 1 to step into, yes, I'm willing to invest the energy and time and the money to get that body of work, to get that transformation. And so the launch, it's about taking them from that 0 to 1 to saying, I'm ready to step into this future me. And the PS path is then thin slicing that into several different small little problems that you can actually solve in just a few minutes. And then that, now as you start to solve those smaller problems, you build trust, and you build a relationship, and you build a reciprocity with those people. So now they're willing to take that bigger leap into actually making the purchase and moving forward and working with you.
So it makes you, as the service provider, as the coach, think about, what is it that I do? What is it that I offer? And how do I speak it in a way that it lands on my audience? And that is one of the key things that I love about your program, that I have been, you challenged me to do that like probably 20 years ago. Like, it was a long time ago when I first started following you. And it, and well, can we throw in the fact that you have built things up over this past 20 years, where now, like, for those people who do choose to invest, just the AI tool in and of itself is like, because it aligns with, here's the program, here's a tool that you input, and the tool will help it generate into what I mean, once again, I'm like all tongue tied here because it's so awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing because my team, they surprised me with that. I mean, we were deep into AI. We knew AI was changing the world. We were using it as a team, but like I've built up this amazing team. It's crazy. It's nuts. And they just came to me and there, Jeff, look at this tool that we've got. And we've just built this AI tool to help, will build people's launches. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, Meg, when they first brought that to me, I'm like, we're not a software company. And I was
Yeah.
just,
What you talking about?
I was worried it was going to suck, to be bluntly honest. And then I was like, what am I going to tell my team when they bring this thing to me and it sucks? And I
And they
opened it
put
up
so much time and effort
and I
into
was,
it.
oh my goodness, this thing is freaking amazing. So yeah, um, it's been amazing. Like, one thing I want to get to though, because and the
Yes.
AI tool is that we have is really good for it. Is I teased the idea of leveraged income, and I can't get off this
Yes.
call without talking about
That's
that
right. That's right.
because um if you're just starting out as a coach, I mean, it's an amazing profession. It's in your ability to make an impact on people and make a great income and have real freedom around your schedule and being able to pick the kind of clients you want to work with. It's amazing, and go all in. And then at some point as a coach, as you get more successful, one thing you might want to consider is creating some type of a group or group training, like whether it's you deliver it live as a group training or as a course or a membership site or a workshop where you can work with more than one person at a time, because how you can leverage your time and get paid
Yes.
more than your hourly rate. And oh, by the way, impact more people. Like,
Yes.
Susan Garrett's been one of our students forever. I think since '07 or so. And she teaches, I mean, she's one of the greatest dog trainers in the world. And she just wants to make all dogs' lives and dogs' owners' lives in the world better. I mean, that's her modest goal. And she said, in the old days, she could work with dozens of clients a year. And now she works with tens of thousands of clients a year through her online training. So, yeah, just want to put that bug in their ear because,
Mhm.
having leverage both in your income and in your time and in your impact is a wonderful thing. And yeah, so something to think about.
Well,
Consider that online
absolutely. There's
marketing.
only so many hours in the day. We only have so much bandwidth. And I have interviewed hundreds of industry experts on this show. I mean, we're at over 400 episodes now, so we have interviewed and talked to, and I will tell you hands down, the most successful coaches that I know who are having the biggest impact leverage their time, their energy, and it's more than one to one. They are one to many,
Yeah.
and you know what? You've got it in you. You've got the expertise. So consider doing a course or a group program or something to bring in multiple streams of income, because that's how you'll get your work into the world. And I want to invite you to the Launch Masterclass with Jeff Walker, because once you begin to think about those things, you're going to need to get it out into the world. And Product Launch Formula is the way to do that. So I want to thank Jeff Walker for taking time out of all the millions of things that you're doing to spend time with the Star Coach audience and help us think about this. We're going to invite them over to the Launch Masterclass so they get more of you. And believe me, Jeff is a force to be reckoned with. So when you get more of him, strap on your seatbelt, because you're going to kind of need to ride that ride. And ultimately, if you choose to decide to work with him, we'll talk more about that later. But Jeff Walker, thank you so much for being a part of the Star Coach Show.
Thanks, Meg. I really enjoyed this.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Jeff Walker as much as I enjoyed spending time with him. And I strongly encourage you to check out the free masterclass. This is the only time to do that unless you want to wait another 12 months. Think about the difference that your business could be in if you started now versus 12 months from now. So grab the link below this video or at starcoachshow.com/405 and opt into this free masterclass. I'll see you there. Take care.